Surah An-Nisa comes back again and reminds us of the role of Shahada, that bearing witness, and by then, as we saw, the idea of your moral role is to be a witness for God against yourself and against others, a witness for God in every sense of that sort of theological moral construct, has already been firmly established, because as we saw, it featured in Surah Al-Baqarah, it featured in Ali Imran, and then again Surah An-Nisa in 41, that Allah reminds us of that essential moral function. All of us are being witnessed and are witnessing constantly. All of us, ultimately, there are those who will testify for us or against us, as we will testify for or against others. And to understand that this is, it's a sort of it's a complete change in paradigm, right? Because if you think, I am on this earth, and in everything I say and everything I do, ultimately, there are those who will testify for or against me, and I pray to God that if their testimony is against me, that it is not a just testimony, because you want the testimony, if it's against you, to be not a just and not a fair testimony, because if it is, you're in trouble. As I will testify for or against others. Why is it a paradigm shift? Because it changes your entire attitude about everything you do and everything you perform. It's this has been, by the way, a constant theme when the Battle of Karbala is fought and Imam Hussain and all his supporters are martyred. What does the women folk who survived, the only survivors of the Battle of Karbala were women and children, and a lot of the children were killed, but the children who did survive. But what do they say? The comfort to that who has suffered injustice is, what vindicates me or what gives me comfort is that I will bear witness against you in the hereafter. Fast forward to the modern day, in every trial that in which judges are sentencing political opponents to death. This is in Egypt, or vindicating people who tortured prisoners, or sentencing people who were tortured and abused unjustly to prison and so on. What is their constant response that you hear time and time again? It's the same thing. That what gives me comfort is that I will testify against you in the hereafter. And what is remarkable is that when you look at the rhetoric of this testimony throughout Islamic history, that, okay, fine, but notice, today you are persecuting me. Well, tomorrow in the hereafter, I will prosecute you. That I will be your khasim. Ana khasimuk. that I will ultimately is the dynamics of this is that the state, unjust states, from the dawn of Islamic history till today, go to great lengths to silence. They hate that part. So, in Egypt, initially Egypt was allowing cameras to come in when they were sentencing political opponents to death and to life in prison. And often political opponents would start screaming at the judge or families of opponents, "We will testify against you in the hereafter." The Egyptian state not only arrested the family members who said that, but stopped broadcasting. When you look at these dynamics, they remind you of every incident since the Umayyad period till today, in which the state is acting as a tyrant and someone is suffering an injustice. The idea that you exist on this earth at all times, in everything you say and everything you do, you are either being witnessed for or against, and you in turn are going to witness for or against others, is an extremely powerful idea. But we're not raised with it, although it is anchored in the heart of the Quran. And we're not raised with it, again, because the authoritarian state found this idea extremely destabilizing. How can you rule and subjugate and dominate a people who think not, instead of thinking of themselves as lowly, worthless human beings, they think of themselves as witnesses for God? It's an extremely empowering idea. So the state can't afford that. And so throughout Islamic history, the state, throughout Islamic history, has gone to great lengths, but if we can understand it in the medieval time, it's a tragedy for the modern times. Because people are supposed to mature and grow and progress. So even in medieval times, people couldn't rise up to the Quranic standard of being, their worth, their dignity as human beings is that they are bearing witness for God. The Quranic potential is incredible because it is a universe of morality and a universe of empowerment.